Enough? Okay. I know there was the sessions this morning. There was a yoga session and a movement session. Who joined? I know a few people did. All right. Congrats. Kudos to you. Everybody is like, oh, how can they? How can they start so early? Very well. So we have an exciting day today. We're happy to have you all on board with us. Also our online participants. I don't know if we see them today or not. How is it in the back there? Do we get to see them a little bit or not yet? They're still having coffee? Maybe not today. But they are there. They're with us. Just looking at my colleagues. Yes, they are there. Okay. So welcome to the online audience as well. And to start, actually from now on, to start sessions in plenary, we want to propose a little game. Ooh, sassy. Okay. So this is a very simple game. We know that a lot of innovations come out of accidents, mistakes, no? We call it serendipity, when you're looking for something and you, by mistake, find something else. So we would like to invite you to try to guess what is the story behind these innovations, which are actually inventions as well. All right? Ready? So you'll have to choose A, B, or C, or 1, 2, or 3, and then you vote with your hands. And the online audience can also vote for this, and I'm sure Marinella can help them and see who got it right. So, first one, roller skates, you know, shoes with wheels, roller skates. Were they invented after a skater broke his skateboard in two? Were they invented by a musician trying to impress his audience? Or were they invented by a youth worker looking for a new activity for young people? Don't laugh yet. Okay, so you can talk with the person next to you, just which one would you vote for? You have 30 seconds, more or less. Try to guess this right, share information. You can also try to guess. True. Okay. So, let's do the voting. Who votes for number 1 after a skater broke his skateboard in two? Okay, we have a good third, okay. Who votes for number 2 by a musician trying to impress an audience? Oh, we have more, okay. Who votes for number 3 by a youth worker? Oh, the hopeful ones. Keep believing, yes. Stay there, we need you. And the right answer is... B. Now, here's the full story. I'll have to read it to make sure I'm not lying. So, roller skates made their first appearance in a rather awkward manner on a London fancy dress ball. Belgium instrument maker Joseph Merlin tried to steal the show in an outfit finished with a violin and a self-made pair of shoes on metal wheels. Now, the story didn't end very well because his grand opening finished with him bumping inside a wall made of glass, actually, while playing the violin, because he didn't have the brakes yet, so it was kind of a prototype. And later on, of course, people went on to improve his innovation. And Giselle was just saying that if you join tomorrow the session on yoga, this is what you're going to learn how to do. So if you just want to... Okay, the next one. The teddy bear. Believe it or not, teddy bears were not there since the age of time. So, were they invented by an untalented tailor trying to make a stuffed dog? Were they invented as a way to reduce pain for children in hospitals? Or were they invented after a politician failed a bear hunt? Okay. Now you just have to think, not much time to talk. All right, so. Yes, of course. Nobody can stop you. All right, here we go. It is voting time. Who votes for option 1 by an untalented tailor trying to make a dog? Okay, fair enough. 2, as a way to reduce pain for children in hospitals. All right, a good set of hands as well. There are a lot of people. And after a politician failed a bear hunt. I think it's the majority. And the right answer is... after a politician. Okay, here's the story. So the teddy bear owes his name to a failed bear hunt in 1902, when President Theodore Roosevelt, also called by Teddy, was invited to a hunting party. But after 3 long days, very frustrating days for them, not for the bears, ended up, and there was no bear at sight. And he refused to shoot an old and wounded bear that has been tied down for the president to kill. So he refused, and then a cartoonist made a drawing of it, and then a toy maker owner of a toy shop, I don't know if he was a real toy maker, he decided to pick up on that story that was on the news and make a little teddy bear to put on his window as a way to refer to that. And then when people saw it, everybody wanted a teddy bear. The funny thing is that when he started selling them, he got a bit like, maybe I'm in trouble for calling them Teddy, because that's the name of the president. So he wrote a letter, and the president answered, "I don't think my name will mean anything to the bear business, but you're welcome." He was very wrong. Okay, the last one. Ready? The Frisbee, this flying disc. So, were they invented by NASA while studying UFOs? Were they invented by young people throwing pie tins around, the tins that go around the pie? Or they invented by a dad who hated playing football with their kids? Which one? All right, let's see those hands. So, who votes for 1 by NASA while studying UFOs? Okay, like a fourth of the group. Okay. Who votes for 2 by young people throwing pie tins around? Okay, a lot of people. We believe in young people. That's the spirit. And who thinks by a dad who hated playing football with their children? Oh, the parents. The parents are like, yeah, that was definitely it. Okay, and the right answer is... very good! Young people, they never disappoint. So here's the story. There was a world-famous Frisbee baking company, but they were not known for making great pies. However, when they started selling their pies, students from New England realized that the tins, when smashed, and they said Frisbee because that was the name of the pie company, they discovered that these things could fly very long distances. So they started playing around with them, and later on somebody else kind of bought the idea and put Frisbee on it, and until today we call it a Frisbee. Woo, huh? Just a piece of knowledge that you won't do anything with, but there you go. All right, so glad to see that everybody's a bit more awake and talkative. We're going to have a morning full of dialogue. But before that, I'll give the floor to Darko to present the day. Darko, go ahead.
Hello, signal spotters. So that was fun, Rita. We could continue like this. So good morning, signal spotters. We are having a second day ahead of us, but let's look actually what was happening yesterday. So Domago has magic hands, and magic hands will show that it's coming. The magic hands are doing things, so magic things are developing. Magic hands are still throwing frisbees or making teddy bears. Oh, magic hands. Thank you, media team. It was a sleepless night, apparently. Okay, today is exciting program ahead. So we just after this, finding your tribe. I think I found my tribe too. Is never in Bali. I will probably join that one. Exciting names of the tribes. I don't know if you checked the tribe symbols. Lots of interesting names. And today is a special day. It's 1st of June. Yes, as you know, and. As Anita is standing next to the tribe with a symbol of sun. It's a special day because it is Lisa Franken's birthday! Hey! So all the spotlights to Lisa. We're not going to sing the song now, but we will. We can include a song in the video of the day. So, so Domago, video of the day, Lisa Franken's birthday. 19th birthday, I understand, no? 19. Oh, no. Okay, we'll leave that for later then. Happy birthday, Lisa. I hope you will celebrate nice birthday in Kranjska Gora. We have an exciting program today. Actually, Dragan and Miguel said that there's no innovation in youth work without young people. So in a second, at the moment I leave the stage, lots of young people will join the stage and fill in the chairs behind me. After that, there will be 2 rounds of forums. So make sure that in the event app, that you put your hearts in which forum you want to go. So organizers will also know how many people to expect in each of the forum rounds. In the end of the day, you will meet again your tribes. With nice names and nice people. It was beautiful to see that yesterday. And in the evening, we have a networking lounge. It will be semi-structured, semi-formal, semi-non-formal event happening exactly here in the Oval Hall. We will explain this later, but there will be space for sharing, there will be space for chatting, there will be space for partner finding, maybe resources. So if you have, for example, some handbooks or publications to share, there will be also tables to exhibit, so bring things that you need to give to the others tonight. There are a couple of surprises today. There is a bus, and I hope the bus is arrived. I don't know if it's arrived yet, but the bus will be probably on the parking lot in front. You can check that in the coffee breaks. And the bus is actually a mobile youth center. It's a mobile youth center from Slovenia called Ljuba and Drago by young dragons or mladi zmaji. So young dragons are bringing the bus. So you're invited in the coffee breaks to visit the mobile youth center and see how this works. Second announcement from the local organizers is that yesterday in the pre-conference period or this time, there was Action Bound. You know, Action Bound is this treasure hunt in the application. There is a treasure hunt in the Action Bound called Explore Krainska Gora. It's still possible to use it, so in case you're wondering what to do in your free time, you can use that. And if I'm just not missing anything, maybe one more time, happy birthday, Lisa. And let's hear some of young people. And back to Anita.
Thank you, Darko. So, the panel of this morning is a very special one. Yesterday, we were talking about making predictions into the future and how research can help us understand process of innovation. And all the time, we're talking about how young people are important in the process. But it's also true that many times in these big events, young people are not that present. I mean, you're all young people, I know that. Me too. But sometimes we don't give them enough space, I think. And in the Academy, we decided to start the day with having young people on stage telling us their views on innovation, on youth work, on the future, on their own lives. Does that sound a good idea? Yeah. All right, cool. So, how we're going to do this is I'm going to call them on stage. I also invite the online audience to engage with us. And we want this to be really a dialogue. So I'll have a few questions for them to kick off the conversation, but then I'm really counting on all of you to put your questions, to put your curiosity at play, and to engage with these young people and ask everything you always wanted to know and never dared to ask young people. So, first of all, I want a big round of applause for Karolina, Niklāvs, Rama, and Tadej. Please. Welcome, dears. Please take a seat. Feel at home. Darko was saying this is a bit wiggly. It's okay. I'm going to go here. Try not to fall. All right. You comfortable? Yes. Very good. So, first of all, I'm going to invite you to present yourselves very shortly, but what is it that excites you in life? What do you do? What are your, maybe a hobby or an interest you have? Anything. Somebody wants to start? Give the floor for a volunteer. Somebody doesn't want to start, obviously. Okay. Karolina, you go. Come on.
Hi everyone, my name is Karolina, Caroline or Karolina, depending on which pronunciation is more familiar to you. I am 19 years of age and I try to keep it as a secret because we have a lot of experienced people here and yeah. I am actually a student of quantitative economics at Vilnius University, Lithuania. However, I am here as a part of an organization called Learn Before You Vote. So basically what we do, we spread awareness about politics in Lithuania and especially among young people by kicking the asses of the politicians. Sorry for my expression. What we are doing currently, we are monitoring the activities of the mayors in Lithuania. We have a system where we evaluate them from 0 to 10. And we allow all of the people to turn on our website and check what score their mayor got. And what more, we're doing debates of politicians, and these debates are organized by volunteers who are even younger than I am. So it is a quite interesting process, and feel free to ask me anything if you are interested in our organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
So hello everyone from my side. My name is Tadej. I'm from Slovenia. I'm 21 years old. I'm also a youth worker, but I'm also currently finishing the studies of political science in Ljubljana. I'm a member of the Council of the Government of the Republic of Slovenia for Youth, representative of the NGOs. I'm passionate about youth work. I work with young people a lot, with several different organizations. Today I'm here as the representative of the Zavod NEFIX, or the NEFIX Institute. We work mostly with promoting non-formal education. We also have a lot of online activities and also a youth center. So that's about all.
Hello, my name is Niklāvs. I am 20 years old and I am from Latvia. Right now I am a volunteer through European Solidarity Corps, and since September I have been in Slovenia helping out after-school kids center in Kranj. I live in Škofja Loka with 5 other volunteers. And yeah, I really like to travel, paint, read, and I think that's about it for now.
Morning, everyone. My name is Ramatoulaye. I'm from Ireland. I'm going to keep my age as a secret. I guess people can guess that later. So I work in the banking sector as a client advisor, but I'm here to represent the iSafe project, which is basically a program that promotes human rights in young refugees in Ireland. So I'm very pleased to be here and nice to meet you all. And then also, what do I love doing?
Yes.
One question. I love dancing.
Very good.
And then love listening to music and meeting people and learning about new cultures. So that's what I enjoy doing.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you, dears. So, very active young people we have on stage. Of course, we can talk about their initiatives and what they are doing to innovate and find new solutions for our world today, but also we can ask them questions about them as people, as young people. And before I start with my questions, I would like to give you 1 minute to chit-chat or maybe reflect. What would you like to ask them? Even before we start, what would you like to ask any of these young persons? 1 minute, go ahead. Talk, reflect. How old are you? How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
I don't know. I would say 20.
Yes.
25.
I give you that. No.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh, okay, almost. I almost got it.
That's very intense. Have a lot to ask.
It's going to be with a flashlight. Tell us, tell us. It's okay, it's okay. I will ask a few. Okay, can't talk. Okay. All right. So now that maybe the curiosity has awakened a bit more, I'll start with a few questions here, okay? So maybe I cover some of your questions, probably not. So then we'll give you the floor and Darko will pass around a mic once we're done. So first question for whoever wants to start answering, and if nobody wants, I will select one of you. How is it to be a young person nowadays? This is a very kind of classical question. Okay, but maybe hard to answer, but maybe in simple words, how is it for you to be a young person in the world today? Go.
You or me?
Both, but one at a time.
For me, it's fun. It's very fun. And there's a lot of changes nowadays. Comes with being a young person. It's quite challenging. coming from different cultures and meeting people from different backgrounds, it can be quite challenging and fun. And also there's a lot of expectations from young people. There's a lot of expectations in terms of education. There's a lot of expectations in terms of career-wise. There's a lot of expectations even in normal life decision making, and which can be very overwhelming at times. And sometimes us as young people, we don't necessarily get all the support to be able to help us make those decisions. So as much as it's fun going through college and family and so many other things, it can be quite challenging and overwhelming. That's my personal view.
Thank you.
I would say it's awesome. Like, no, just comparing stories like from my mom or other wiser people about how it was to be my age at that time. I feel like we have so many opportunities, education-wise, opportunity-wise. There's more human rights and more opportunities that people at that time didn't have. So I feel really blessed to be a young person at this time of age. And of course, there are a lot of cons, like the overwhelming technology, and that maybe the values have changed a bit through times, but I feel like, there are more pros than cons being a young person this time. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, thank you. Would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that some fundamental rules do not change over the time, and I personally think that young people still want to change the world. They want to, I want to have a spectacular career, learn as much languages as it is possible, and travel around the world. So yeah, it's probably the same as it was in the past. The only thing that changed is, as Nicholas said, opportunities. We have a wider range of choices, and it is a great thing because, as Nicholas said, in the past, young people were not so ready to take a gap year or drop out of university or find any other way to make their parents angry. We can do so now, and we are quite confident about making these decisions, but it can be overwhelming because of these opportunities, because we still are trying to find the right way.
Thank you, thank you. Would you add? No, not to this one. Okay, okay. Next question. What did COVID bring to your life, or what did it take away? What did it brought to you, or what did it take away? This is not the proper English, but I think you get it. Yeah?
So what it took and what it gained from it. Basically, it took 2 years of my high school, which is really sad. And it took a lot of opportunities to socialize and be with people and community. But I think I also gained a lot. Like, I hope that this is also the case for other people, like the appreciation for the things you didn't find appreciation for before COVID came, and also the understanding that life can change like this, like, and it can be ready when you're not. So yeah, and I just hope that all of us learned something, or else this maybe was just worthless. But yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate COVID. During the COVID times, I liked working from home. I loved that I didn't have to go to a faculty life, that I had everything over Zoom, because it was so much easier for me. And also I could learn so much more. But also during the COVID times, I was working at a local high school in my hometown in Aidurščina. And some situations were truly absurd from the high school students, because they were sometimes, half of the students was online, half of them was in the classroom. Then the second day, the situation changed. Then you had to do COVID tests and everything. So for high school students, I think it put so much more stress, but also to the teachers that couldn't organize their learning process for them. Because as you can imagine, it's very difficult to teach 5 people that are online and 10 people that are live. And then also you have some situations where you have only one person live in school and all the rest via Zoom. So you get a lot of those absurd situations. I think it put a lot of stress on some people, on a lot of young people, but we shouldn't forget those like maybe 2% of us who really loved the working from online. But yeah, I still hate COVID because it was difficult to see friends and everybody. So ideal situation for me personally would be to have school online, but everything else in person.
Very interesting. And education being more and more online, it's an issue, of course. Okay, anybody else would like to add to that?
COVID, God. I can agree with him. I loved working from home. I didn't have to rush, deal with traffic or anything. I love the fact that it gave me time to think about life and appreciate, as he said, appreciate the people that we have and know that life can change anytime. And what I hated about COVID was the fact that you couldn't do anything. You had to stay at home, literally watch all the series on Netflix. Nothing was happening, and then you can't really meet people in person. It gets frustrating. But overall, I would say COVID, I agree with you. I hated it at some point, but everything else online, but meeting people, yeah, I will agree with that one.
All right, very interesting. So I would have another question for you. You were saying before about how it's interesting for you to be a young person nowadays, although it can be overwhelming, because of the possibilities. And I think we all understand this, that nowadays, we, at least in this room, we do have a lot of opportunities. We are safe to travel here. We have access to university or to different studies. We can access different opportunities. Obviously, we also know that that is not true for everybody and for every young person, unfortunately. So considering those as well, I would ask you, what do you see as the biggest challenges or needs of young people nowadays? Also from your experience and the young people that are your friends, what would be the biggest challenges or needs that young people are facing in Europe nowadays?
I can talk from the Slovenian perspective, if possible.
Please.
I think it's not challenging for the majority of young people in Slovenia, but for some people that live very far away from large cities in Slovenia, it can be quite challenging because their access to infrastructure is very limited. They have poor internet connection, they don't have any bus or any other means of public transportation, and I think we should always consider also those people in our minds. The second thing that is quite challenging in Slovenia is also to find a proper job that it's not a precarious job. At the moment, it's very easy to find part-time job or precarious work, but to find a proper employment, it can be quite challenging for a lot of young people. The third thing I will say is to find a proper apartment that you can buy with your own payment, because usually you have to rent an apartment, the rents are very high, and also all the research made in Slovenia show that young people want to own their own apartment, they don't want to rent, so it's another challenge for Slovenian young people also.
Thank you, thank you. So rural areas, employment and housing. Yeah, okay. Yes?
Yeah, I will speak in the perspective of Latvians and my friends, that, believe it or not, it actually is about, I would say, not accessible education, because a lot of my friends want to study in universities, get an education, do something in their lives. But then you look at the cost of the universities and that there are not enough scholarships, and you know the world will lose a lot of talented people just because we're not getting a basic need of like an education that we are striving to get. And I agree with everything that Tadej said. But yeah, for me personally, I would say education, and that there are not enough opportunities, or at least we're not informed of the opportunities that we can get. There are, like, you know, you can study abroad and this, and there's this and that, and you can, I don't know, study for free, and this can help you. Like, we are really misinformed, and also about like opportunities like these that I'm doing. Like, not a lot of people know about, that you can just travel for free and get to see the world and change something, make an impact. So I would say, yeah, misinformation and not accessible scholarships, education funds, and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Access to education could be another challenge there. All right. Anything else?
I could add the fact that the mental health is a big issue, especially after the COVID happened. So I feel that you guys also are working with young people, and it is important for you to try to support these adolescents, because I don't know, I have a lot of people in my circle who don't get along well with their parents and who are a bit afraid to ask for the help. And while you are working with them, you have the chance to help them somehow, because I believe that you notice if something is wrong with the person. So I believe that it is one of the biggest issues we're facing right now.
Okay, thank you. Mental health. All right. Yes. Then I would have 2 more questions, and then we'll go for the questions from the audience. What are the ways that youth workers can support you better? What are ways that youth workers can support you, can help you, maybe through these challenges or other challenges you may have?
I think support, really supporting young people, have an ear to listen, because sometimes that's all we need. Have someone to be there, and because as I said earlier on, it can be quite overwhelming, and it's not everyone, as she mentioned earlier on, it's not everyone that has that family support. So it is very crucial to be able to support us, be there, and then also work in impacting and changing policies to really help young people, to give us the opportunity to access educations, be able to own our own houses. We don't have to wait till our late 30s to start buying our own houses, and really make changes and support us, because it's very important. And the mental health side is just crucial and very, very important, because there's a lot of high level of suicidal among young people, and simply because they get overwhelmed with so many things, and everyone does not have the same strength to face these challenges in life. And sometimes you find yourself in that darkness and you don't see any light. So it's very important to support the mental health side of it. Do not forget about it, and just be there. That's all I can say, just be there. I know it's demanding as well, because you have your own lives, but we are looking up to you guys. We want to be able at one point, personally, to be able to give back what I receive. So I would love to have someone that just sits there, and I tell to them, oh, yesterday I went out. The person's like, okay, it's good. At least I have that person listening. Maybe I don't have that in my family, so it would be good to have someone that supports me emotionally, not necessarily financially, because that is another sector, another aspect, but I think emotionally is really good, and just be there.
Thank you, thank you. What else? What other ideas would you have? Or maybe what has supported you in the past?
I will talk from the youth worker perspective. But I think we quite a lot of time think about young people as young people and not about them as adult people. They know what they want, they know what they need, because a lot of time we just give them opportunities to participate in our activities, and we don't empower them enough to produce activities on their own. So my idea of the youth work is it should be more contributing also from the youth side. So it should be more supporting young people and not so much social work and everything. Of course, it's also an important part, but we should also work with those people that are not active yet or that are active, so we should include every young person. Also, in Slovenia, you are legally young until you are 29, We usually catch only those young people that are in high schools or maybe 13 years old that are not even young yet. So we should also work on those people that are 20 plus, which are also in the idea of youth work, and they're usually not included. So that's it.
Thank you, thank you. Any other contributions? Okay, last question from my side. So yesterday we had with us, I don't know if you were here already, we had with us a scientist talking about predictions to be involved. So as experts as well, what do you see in the future that maybe youth workers still don't? What are things that you think will happen in 10, 15, 20 years in the world that maybe we are still not picking up? We're not that fast in picking up. I know it's a bit of an imagination exercise here, yeah? We're going to speculate a little bit. Difficult question, I know.
I believe that young people are going to have more influence than they do today. And by supporting them, you're actually contributing to the future. So thank you a lot. Because, well, I come from an organization where we have a very close touch with politicians, and we see the way they act. So we remember that when our idea was just making the first baby steps, politicians were not so into coming to the debates or even picking up the phone. And now we have, I can give you an example. We have this politician who was a member of the Parliament of Lithuania, and we did debates. We called him and we invited him to come. He said, yeah, I will give you an answer in a week. We call him in a week. He doesn't pick his phone. We tried different numbers. He blocked us all. And the funny thing is, he didn't come to the debate, but he wasn't re-elected again. So I believe that young people are becoming more influential because we see politicians becoming more responsible, more accountable for what they are doing. And I believe youth organizations have a lot of impact on that too. Because we ask a lot of questions and we are gaining the respect. So, and I guess while we are growing this way, like questioning everything we see, we are going to respect young people when we become a bit older as well. So I hope that is a positive change.
Thank you, thank you. I hope so too. Yes.
Yeah, I won't say anything mind-blowing, as my colleagues have said. But yeah, just to summarize, I totally agree with what Karolina said about us having maybe more influence, and that, yeah, and what also Rama said about what we need and the support we need. And I would just like to say, yeah, that in the future you don't have to do anything amazing to reach out on us or other young people. All we need is a community, a friend, someone to talk with, and just say focus more on, yeah, creating a community, a safe space for people who don't have the accessibility for, yeah, just basic mental health. So yeah, I would just like to say that, yeah, and also that everything's changing, and just to be aware of what, yeah, just what the problems are, and yeah, just creating that safe space for us and other young people, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Go ahead.
I personally think that the youth sector will have to change, and it's already changing. Of course, those changes are small, incremental changes, and will take place when other people will be young people, so maybe in 10 years' time or so. So what we are doing now, we're doing for the future generations that will have different needs that young people have today. But it's an important process that keeps going, and it keeps developing the youth sector, which is a very important sector because it works with the new members of the society. But it will have to evolve because as it is now, it's in some ways not sustainable. Of course, there's a lot of work on projects in youth work, a lot of bureaucracy, enormous amount of people that are employed only precariously and so on. So these things will have to change if we want to make this sector more qualitative one rather than just capturing enormous amount of young people and so on. So things will change, but slowly but surely.
Thank you. I don't know if Rama, if you want to add anything.
Sorry, what was I going to say? I was so focused on what he was saying. So I think what our youth workers should also know is those young people will go to become adults. And it's like when a mother has a newborn baby and 6 months or 8 months the child is falling, and you're like, what happened? So once they empower us and once they give us all the support, I think they should also be ready to watch us grow and enjoy that growth. And those are things that could happen, and it's happening very fast because some young people are very good at picking up things than we actually expect. So it's just having that ability to be there, as I said, the support, and that's why I go back on the support, because once you support, you are there, and sometimes you don't even need to say much, you know, and you can see this person become who you think they want to become, and you enjoy that process. So just, I think they should be ready in years down the line to understand that they are empowering people that will become who they want to be in life, and also grow with that process at the same time. Yeah.
Thank you, fantastic. Thank you so much for answering my questions. So these were a few questions just to kick off the conversation, but we would like to hear also other questions that you might have. So Darko will have a mic. He will steal a mic to share with you. And I would open the floor for questions from the audience, also from the online audience. If there is, you can share, I don't know, via chat. Oh, and they're here. Look at this. Magnificent. There you are too. Hi. So there was a question here. Maybe you can show me again. Yes, and we can all see it, and then you can decide who would like to answer. How old were you when you saw that you have your strengths that you are developing now, and who supported you in your strengths during that period? This is from Natalia in the Zoom. So when did you start your, let's say, journey of kind of taking up on your strengths, and who supported you?
I think I started my journey only 3 years ago because I was a very busy person. But I'm very glad that my parents supported me along the way. And I think I wouldn't be here if they didn't help me that much. And of course, I joined the organization Learn Before You Vote 2 years ago, which really helped me to grow as a person a lot. And I feel good right now.
Fantastic. Anybody else? Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, I would say I took my first step into actually starting to becoming I would say, at least improving myself at 16, but I would say I took more steps and improvement at 17. I started going in youth groups at camps, Christian belief orientated, and there was this one guy named David Kingdon. He's Scottish, and yeah, he was like, yeah, he just supported me, and he was like a dad to me because I grew up without a dad. So I feel like, you know, just having that person who can be also like a father figure to you, that's just amazing, and we're still in contact now. So yeah, shout out to him. And yeah, I would say from 17 till on.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, thank you. I don't know if I have other questions. Yes. Oh, there's questions going around. Where's the mic?
I'm holding the microphone.
Ah, you're holding the mic. Sorry. Go ahead.
First of all, thanks so much for your contribution. It's so valuable to hear your perspectives. And I would be interested, as people who are actively involved in your communities and societies, what's the personal motivation for your engagement?
Fantastic. What's your personal motivation? Yes, go ahead.
when I became a volunteer when I was 13 years old, I didn't have any special motivation or whatsoever. I was just doing it because I had fun doing it. So it was just a way of spending my free time after school, and I didn't have strong opinion about it, so it was just something I did for fun. But then slowly and progressively you start developing more and more into this area of volunteering, being active, and so on. So it just developed in that sense. But I never had like a strong motivation, oh, that's the reason I should do it. I just started doing it because for me, it was fun. And it still is in a lot of ways.
Fantastic. I think that's a very common story also in non-formal education. No, young people come because they enjoy, they're happy there, and then everything else unfolds. Anybody else would like to answer this? Personal motivations?
I can, again, yeah, I don't know how vulnerable I can be at this point. But yeah, I would just say, just from my experience, maybe the support I didn't gain or the experiences I had connected to like bullying or non-support. And when you work now with kids and seeing, that one kid who's like quiet, or you can see that he's, I don't know, bullied at school, you have that automatic reaction to, okay, I'm going to help this person, I'm going to create a safe space for this person, and not letting young people go through something some of us went. So I feel like in a case it was a bad thing, but in one case it's like a blessing because you have this passion for that, and without that, how can you help someone? Because the best way is to relate to someone. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
We have another question. Can you stand up?
Stand up, okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Fedita. I have a question for you, Karolina, because we also noticed there's a low rate of voting among young people. They are not interested. It has nothing to do with me. So we organized an event where we really convinced all the candidates for running for mayor to cook with young people, to have an informal cooking session. It was so difficult to reach young people, especially the ones who are not students and who are not at high school. So we tried like Instagram, of course, going into schools and wherever, reaching other youth organizations. So what did you do to reach these young people to become part of your organization and be really interested? So what do you use? How do you reach them? How do you get connected?
Well, actually, our organization works this way. If we know that somebody is quite active person, not necessarily interested in politics, but maybe volunteering in some sort of organization. For instance, with like the guys here with young kids at schools, or just talking about the necessities of people who learn at schools, not necessarily related to politics. We're trying to invite them to come and see what we're doing. And actually, I believe that the main key, what helps us to get these volunteers, is that we show that they're able to change something in practice. Because we're working with European Parliament Bureau in Lithuania, we're inviting them to give us like theoretical knowledge about something. So they explain from the first steps how the politics works. Because it is quite hard for a young person to make their personal view, as we are quite interested, influenced by our parents, and starting to get to know more about politics is extremely difficult if you don't know anything about it. So what we do, firstly, we invite these people who talk and help us to understand what is politics, how everything works, how the elections work. Then we invite journalists, professional journalists, who tell us how to find more information about politicians. And we have we usually have 2-3 day trainings where first day we always talk about these theoretical things. And then the next day we invite the politicians themselves from different parties. We ask them to send someone to us, and we put our knowledge in practice. And usually it is very funny because politicians come to these trainings and they believe that, oh, it's a young person, I can talk whatever I want. They still are not going to understand. But we have this day full of theory and journalists helping us to find all of these red flags of the politicians. And we just, Google before what is the education of the politician. We find the interviews, what they have told during them. And when we sit in front of that politician, we tell him, look, in 2016, you said this, and we quote. And then they lose everything. They feel like they are accountable for what they said. And this way, young people feel empowerment, that they feel that they can have a change because they understand that this person who you used to see on TV is actually just a single person who's sitting here in front of you, stressing out because of your questions. So I believe that the key thing is to just find a way to put theoretical knowledge into practice. And then you can see that you can have a great change, and this way we motivate adolescents to take part in our organization. And believe me, there are so many who just come to our trainings and they are like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to stay there. And usually they stay there because they feel like they can change something. So that's the main thing. And also we do education at schools, and they are delivered by volunteers who are also young. So I think this way it is more relatable, because if an old, okay, that didn't sound good. If an experienced person comes to you and talks about politics, you may feel some sort of rejection because you believe that there is some prior knowledge and they are just trying to force you into joining and doing it. But then you have a young person standing in front of you telling all of these things. You somehow believe it because you know that that person doesn't have as much experience as others do. And yeah, that's our secret.
Not a secret anymore. Okay, so peer education, a lot of young people towards young people, and offering an interesting, challenging, exciting program. Okay, thank you. Yes?
I have a question. So what kind of stereotypes have you heard in your country about young people? The reactions from older generation, let's say.
All right. What stereotypes you hear in your country about young people, Rama? Say only what you can, okay?
Lazy.
What, lazy?
Yeah. Very lazy. Love to party. Love drinking. What else? Yeah, mainly lazy. Lazy people don't want to do anything, and then I think so. You have to go back to generations and generations, because years ago, like not this generation, sorry, but the one before, parents needed really to work hard to prove themselves, right? And nowadays, there's so many ways for a young person to prove themselves. And then that might not necessarily be how the society sees it. And to go back to the question that was asked her, and the lady said, how do they do? Because she said, when they bring the politician in, people don't really want to come in. I think there's a lot of changes needed, because even the way politics is done, it's so old. I'm sorry to say it. It's so old in every context, because young people feel like these are the people that keep lying to us all the time. So why would we interact with people that we cannot trust? And that trust is gone. They get re-elected, and it's the same thing that our parents have seen, and we would continue seeing. So they are doing a huge thing to bring those young people in, to be able to interact, question, you said this in 2016, why did you say this? And this person is sweating, is like, oh my God, I wasn't prepared for this. But having changes like that not only shows the adults or the older generations that we know what we want as well. We are ready. Might not necessarily be like, for example, to become a youth worker. As he said, he started just as a hobby. It turned into something that he had interest in. But an older person might think, oh, maybe you need to go to school, you need to get a diploma. It does not necessarily have to be the old way. So I think once the older generation is more open-minded and know that us nowadays, we can choose our own path as long as we meet the roundabout or the end goal. That's what matters at the end. So that's what I think, yeah.
Okay. Other stereotypes or prejudices that are common in your countries?
I would like to comment on politics and everything. Of course, politics is also a developing thing, and it's constantly changing, but yes, it's old concept. For young people, it's extremely old concept. And it's difficult for them to understand. And we have to make sure that we allow them a lot of time and a lot of attention to those topics, because they need first to understand the politics, and also politics need to understand young people, because this is the only way, if they speak common language, is the only way they can communicate. Because a lot of times you have those communication barriers, because young people expect something completely other things from politicians that politicians expect from young person or from young people. And also about stereotypes, politicians have a lot of stereotypes about young people. You can hear them constantly in the parliament or whatever. So yes, we have to educate also the politicians who young people are. They're not necessarily non-educated, they're not necessarily still studying, they're not necessarily without any experience and so on. So we have to learn common language between politicians and young people, and this is the only way they can communicate and make a progress if they want.
Tadej, you were saying that the politicians hold these stereotypes. These were the stereotypes you meant, that they are unexperienced, uneducated?
Yeah, this is the stereotypes you hear from the politicians about young people, yes.
Okay, okay. Anything else you would add?
I can finish with
Go ahead.
a funny thing that a lot of older people say in Latvia, that we don't know what it means to have a hard life because you didn't have to walk, 3 kilometers through the woods to get to school and things like that. But also, yeah, just stereotype that we are really, entitled to everything in the world, which is like, a situation where the glass is half empty, half full, because I could agree with that. We are a bit more entitled, like we maybe didn't have to fight for a lot of things, but at the same time, I could see that as like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting things, like, we have some sort of, ambition. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We still have a few minutes. I don't know who's next. There we go.
Hi, my name's Nick. I live in Montenegro. I'm coming across more and more young people who are expressing opposite views to what you're expressing. And it's really great to be hearing the stories that you're sharing and the values that you're holding on to. Are you coming across young people, friends, colleagues, fellow students, whatever, who are expressing anti-Semitic, racist, homophobic, conspiracy theorist approaches to life? And if you are, how are you responding to those people?
All right. Go.
We are coming across those young people also. If you can imagine, let's say from high school experience that I do have, there are quite a lot of young people with also those extreme or racist or whatever opinions. And it's your job as youth workers to work with them.
There you go.
You have to show them what is the good way, but also take them to take the lead on the learning path, because in high school, or in school, everybody has to learn basically the same things. But in youth work, you should provide different paths to different people. And of course, if someone has problems with racism or sexism or whatever, you should work on that also as a youth worker. This is what youth work should be.
Any of you have experiences on meeting these views of other young people, these different values?
I think that it is inevitable because we come from various backgrounds, and all of these racist views, they usually come from the families. And I believe that we have to let the person change its own view, because we can't have a lot of influence. If you try to persuade that person, you may end up even making him or her even more angry, in the sense that this person has to understand on its own. So it is a very difficult journey. For instance, in Lithuania, a lot of parents in Lithuania are very homophobic. And when you see more homosexuals around you, you begin to understand that it is okay. And this way, we can change our perception. And I also would like to add that if a person is very racist or into this extremism, it is a high chance that the social media contributes to it a lot. This person might be in this rabbit hole, for instance, seeing this type of videos all the time. So when it comes to real life, somebody tells you are wrong, but they are convinced that what they saw on the internet is true. And then persuading is even harder. So I don't actually know the right way to come out of such perception, but probably the main thing is to let the person find what is wrong or right on its own. It sounds bad, but it's the only way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
What I can say is, first of all, if you meet people that are racist or homophobic or extremists in one way or the other, is first of all have a conversation. I personally believe that things are triggered in humans, so it's always good to understand where they come from. So I don't believe any child is born racist or homophobic. It's either there's always a history. It comes from somewhere, it's embedded in them, it's a certain level of understanding. And for somebody to stand and act on those things, there's definitely something behind. So it's always good as youth workers, if you come across people like that, have conversations with them, get to understand where their mind is, why they are acting this way, and it's a job that all of us have to do as humans, because the world is so small. We can all see that in social media today. I can be in Japan, I know what's happening in Ukraine, and it's so small. So it's very important, us as a human race, to put in the work in. It's just not about saying, oh, I'm against this, but at the end of the day, I'm sitting in my house. As long as I don't call you this, I don't call you that, I'm okay with it. It's a work that we all have to do. We understand that we are all human race. If I cut him, he's going to bleed. If he cuts me, I'm going to bleed. There's no difference. He's my brother. He's somebody that I know. He's a friend. And if we don't see the world like this, we can be having 10,000s of conversations about racism, homophobic, and all these extremist discussions. Nothing will change. So it's very important to see each person as your brother, as your sister, regardless of their race, their background, where they're from, and be able to come together as one human race. And once we do, we can stand more on so many things. And all these people that have these extremist views would be left alone, and they'll be like, I have no choice than try to understand and contribute and fight against this. So that's my only view.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have time for one more question, so
Okay.
go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Timmy from Belgium. In the youth work community, we talk a lot about the value of youth work, mostly from the perspective from a youth worker. So I'm very curious how you would describe the value of youth work from your perspective as a young people. Or let me put it in a different question. How would you describe the most significant change that happened being involved in youth work or in a youth organization? If you can pick out just one thing that changed being involved in youth work, what would you choose then?
Okay. It's a difficult one. I'm going to ask you for a short answer so we can hear you on this, and then we close it. Yeah, go, Nick.
I would say, like, at least now that I'm working with kids, ages 9 till 14, something like that, I would say patience, because it's an amazing thing to see someone grow, but it's also, you have to have patience and to be patient on that, because we all have our own, our own path, our own journey. So it's just to be a part of that is, you know, a blessing enough. And I would say more empathy of seeing people, you know, from different backgrounds, nationalities, and also like work with like immigrants from Kosovo. So, you know, hearing the kids' stories and seeing how they are also, living into Slovenia. And yeah, it's a really cool thing to be a partner. Yeah, it grows your empathy and patience.
Okay, thank you. Who would like to follow?
I would say that youth organizations and youth sectors, youth workers are creating better people and also a better world. And it's truly changing the world, because as you work with young people now, this is what you will see in 10 or maybe 20 years going on. So it's truly creating a better world.
Thank you.
And I'm going to add shortly that probably we are involved in all of these organizations because we want to grow as people, and youth workers actually are a part of our journey. So it is always very helpful to have someone around you who wants to grow with you together. And that is what we expect from youth workers. Actually, we want them to improve together with us.
Thank you. Rama, would you like to add?
No, I'm good.
Very good. Okay, unfortunately, we're going to have to close the questions. I know there's more questions, but in about 15 minutes, we're going into a break. They're all going to be here, so you can interact and still ask them the questions directly. I want to thank you, the four of you, for being here. It's such a privilege to have four smart, engaging, inspire young people. So please, a big round of applause for them. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, join me.
Yes, apologies from my side. I couldn't manage all the questions, but I'm glad that this was so inspiring that actually was created lots of interest and maybe confirms the idea from yesterday of Dragan and Miguel that there is no innovation without in youth work without young people. I think Tadej was speaking about lots of things has to change, and possibly maybe thinking of youth work in the future might be interesting, not just politics, but also how youth work in the future would look like. So, coming there, or spotting the signals, as Gary was saying yesterday here, we will slowly move to the forums. And forums, exactly, you can take the 3 rounds of forums exactly like spotting the signals. So what's going on in the field, how youth work is changing, what are the seeds maybe of the future already today. So be mindful and be curious in your hunt as the signal spotters. But before we go to the forums, first of all, I hope you put the hearts in the forums, so you know where you go after the break. But before we go into the break, I have still a couple of things to say, and there's a little time for Boško, our rapporteur, to come here. So So there are a couple of things for me is forums will start at 11. The places are in the app, so you just follow the directions. One of the forums will be here, another will be in the ground floor just behind the restaurant. There's a part of the restaurant. And the two others will be on the, if I'm not, 11:30, sorry. Huh? 11:30, yeah? True, sorry, 11:30. So, but the app knows, so don't. So, and there will be a little bit more up, I think the third or fourth floor, so up there. And the second round starts after lunch. We will meet in plenary again here at 4:30, yes. At the 4:30, and that will be the moment where the tribes will meet again. So there will be a moment to meet your tribes with lovely names again. But before going to forums, I would like to give space to Boško, who was doing already part of his work before the event. So he will speak a little bit about the findings in the so-called pre-conference report. So Boško, you can use one of those. Woo!
Okay. Thank you very much, Darko. I'm really excited to be here. I'm the conference rapporteur, and I have read your contributions, each of them at least 3 times, back and forward. The questionnaires you kindly answered, went to the websites of your organizations. I'm very happy that I can see the people behind these brilliant and innovative projects, and I recognize some of your names from your applications, and already had a chance to talk to a few people. So my name is Boško Stankovski. I'm a policy leader fellow at the School of Transnational Government at the European University Institute, and member of the pool of European youth researchers and the pool of experts of the European Youth Forum. So I'll briefly tell you about the pre-conference report. It's here to study. You have the link. It was sent to you in the email that Sonia and Susanna sent, and you can see it also on the website. So basically, we received these brilliant practices, and then what I was reading them back and forth, and we start from this premise that, yesterday when we talk about research that Federica and Dragan and Michelangelo did, they talked about how ecosystems are dynamic. And that also, innovation, I started for the premise that innovation as such does not exist in a vacuum. It's not a linear process. Innovations build on one another. So here we analyzed your contributions from 3 different aspects. From the aspect of how they influence policies, the aspect of capacity building of youth organization, and the aspect of youth empowerment. That is to say, it doesn't mean that we just put them into one corner, because these contributions are in fact very, you employ very multifaceted approach, very interdisciplinary methodologies. So this is just one aspect of how we see them. So what are here? I will just talk about some very preliminary conclusions from this, and that is, for example, that there is international, when it comes to the level of policy change, there is lots of international support for policy change, coming from international organizations, from big youth umbrella organizations, or regional or pan-European networks of youth organizations, because they support each other. It's usually domestic national leaders are not very keen on implementing policy changes, but when these things go into motion on a more wider level, it's more chances that certain policy change will be implemented. Then there is also this aspect of relying on youth research. So there is very, most of the contribution have very strong research component, and this is, in terms of implementing evidence-based initiatives on youth policy changes, but also using research as a powerful advocacy tool of saying, okay, this is what we have come with, and this is what you need to do in order to change the situation. Then there is the importance of national and international collaboration. Many of you, when in the questionnaires, in the applications, you said that your practices, your contributions would not have been made possible if you didn't have various support from, on national or international level, from different youth organizations, in terms of exchanging best practices, in terms of, lessons learned. Then we have, using research for assessing specific youth needs. So there's very, contributions that, they come with a very strong research component of saying, okay, we have done this because the research says X, Y, and Z. And this also helps of devising very targeted actions to optimize the results. So we see this change, this movement towards, using very evidence-based approach, using research in this innovative project. They rely on research. Then there is also the importance of comparative analysis of best practices, and this has turned out to be a very good tool for pressuring policymakers. Usually policymakers a bit have a fear of missing out. So if you come to them with an idea, okay, they might be worried, wary about it. But if you say it's already been done here and there, and you're already lagging behind, the chances are that they will have more impact. And then certainly there was the COVID-19 pandemic that put strong emphasis on digitalization. Digitalization as such, it's not a new thing in the in youth work. It did exist before, it didn't start, but it really now made youth organizations to, have to really be innovative on the spot, to prompt new tools of how to reach different groups, because there was also this digital gap, the digital inequality, the fact that, for example, the region where I come from, youth work is very much associated with reconciliation, how you do with reconciliation when you cannot physically meet young people, or how you discuss sensitive topics. So this was something that showed great deal of innovation. So then also there is initiative focusing on providing youth works and with new skills and competencies of how to become more effective, how to reach the more diverse group of people. And in that direction, there is also this tendency, there is this pattern of basically implementing various knowledge transfers from other sectors, be it business to the youth sector, of how to become more effective. So different, there's also blending different tools and methods, using, tools of non-formal education in education sector, and so on. And finally, there is this big emphasis on peer-to-peer education from young people, and many innovative practices show that. Also, analyzing all of this, there is lots of innovations in terms of very creative way of how to reach wider and diverse audience, and not only to reach it, but to keep it engaged. And we have seen using various digital tools, hip hop, art, all this in a way of how to get to young people that would normally not maybe be interested to become more involved. Last two is there is this all this innovation approach youth empowerment as the first step towards meaningful change in the society and addressing, systemic failures, be it it's in terms of systemic discrimination or aspects where the government, where the authorities are just not doing enough. And finally, it really shows very strong agencies of young people where they do address these failures or underperformances of the local or national authorities, and they are in terms of and engage into resolving issues, be it the rights of the LGBTQ plus community, the rights of the minorities, refugees, and so on. Basically, young people seeing that it's not enough, what is being done is not enough, and just moving along of organizing this themselves. So studying this, as I said, this contribution back and forth, seeing them, grouping them from different aspects, open sets of questions of what we discuss now. And there are these three important questions that we would like to discuss here with you, and they're going to be covered in the conference report. And this is which are the fundamental factors to start or upscale an innovation process. How it's innovation coming to life. So then, what skills and competencies do you need to create and to support innovation? And thirdly, what is a culture of innovation, and how do we create it, and how do we sustain it? So these are some aspects that we would like to discuss. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, please fly me around. I would like to answer your questions now, but we're short with time. And please, tell me more about your practice and tell me more about your views, your opinions, what triggered you to do this. I would really like to find more and put this in the final report. So stay tuned for the final report. It's coming soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Božka. I will keep the questions still a little bit on so they can sink in. They might look like a very high level, like a big questions, and we don't expect actually everything will be answered in 2.5 days here. If you can keep the questions back, please. From Božka's presentation, just one slide before the thank you one. Because these questions actually just let them somewhere in back of your minds while you participate in the forums. We have plenty of very good forum facilitators that will try to squeeze answers and spot future signals around these questions from the contributions. So thanks a lot for the contributors. Thanks a lot for the forum facilitators. But back then in the tribes, when you come in the tribes in the evening, perhaps maybe there will be elements of these answers already emerging. So we try to harvest that in the tribes. So these three things, like what are the fundamental factors around innovation, what skills and competencies, maybe mindsets are needed, and what does it mean to have culture on innovation, where actually seeds of the future could be seen today. So having said that, I wish you a great and inspiring journey in the 2 rounds of forums, and see you in the tribes.